Ciao, I am Nick Stellino. I don't know if you know this, but when I have a cocktail, my favorite cocktail, it's a martini, just like James Bond. So I decided to make something special for you today, something inspired by my favorite cocktail, and that is New York steak with a vodka martini sauce, and then pears in a Marsala wine sauce. Please, join me in the kitchen. Spicy, just right. I'm here today with my favorite butcher, Russell. Came here to pick up a few New York steak for this recipe that I want to make, but Russell wanted to teach me something about the way in which I've been shopping for meat all the time, and specifically regarding the color of the meat. Russell, you're showing me here different cuts of meat, and one thing that I noticed is that this New York is not as dark as this other pieces of meat that you have. You said that this is oxidized, right?
Exactly. That's all it's doing. Is meat is oxidizing, and it just adds to the flavor and tenderness.
So the darker color of meat that I see occasionally, you actually telling me that the flavor is better, the oxidation brings out all...
Definitely.
How come I never see it on your thing?
This is what I take home for dinner.
You see, this is what you discover when you ask the right questions. People like this, they keep the best for themselves. Russell, this steak over here, do you have any of them that are oxidized, even slightly oxidized?
You gonna take my dinner from me?
Yes, I will.
Yeah, I'll get you some.
He's gonna go get me those steaks. You know, in life, as in everything else, you learn every day. And one of the most important things in the shopping for meat is to make sure that you have this constant relationship with a butcher who can guide you, especially from some informations that we might have already predetermined in our head, which are not necessarily the correct one. The meat that is more flavor and how when it's aged brings out this incredible taste, especially if you're a meat eater. Today, these steaks that he's getting from me from the back are the ones that I will cook for you, and you will see what a fantastic recipe that is. Steaks and martini, two of my favorite things. As a matter of fact, these things are so favorite of mine. Every time I travel, I always like to have a steak dinner to celebrate something great. And when I get home, after I hug my wife, after I play with my kittens, one of the things that I love to do in the evening is to have a martini with my wife. By the way, you should know my wife hates martinis. She does not like that as a cocktail, but she is the best martini maker ever. Of any bar, of any hotel, anywhere I go in the world, she's the best. Honey, you're fantastic. So one time I said, why don't I make something actually that's inspired steak, martini. I said to myself, steak with a martini sauce. How about that? So this is something that came out one day. I did a couple of tries to make sure that all the elements would come together, and the result I'm going to show you right now. As usual, we start with a nice pan, extra virgin olive oil in it, and remember, we're building this as a sauce, so it's a blossoming of ingredients that we put in. Celery, and you'll notice that these ingredients are cut roughly because ultimately we will strain the sauce. Then we go with carrots and with white onions. Sometimes I feel to make it a little bit more elegant, and instead of white onions, what I use are shallots. Shallots have a little bit more of a sophisticated flavor to it. When you do this at home, I want you to cook on medium-low heat this ingredient and do it for about 3 to 4 minutes. One of the things that I find when you cook with medium-low heat is that the flavors themselves blossom, they open up inside the context of the sauce, creating a structure, creating a foundation that really builds upon. Now, as I was thinking about it, how do I get to this whole thing? How do I give it the flow, the body? And one of the things that I fell in love with is, why don't we put some bacon in there? You know, actually what happened, I had pepper bacon in the house. I didn't know what to do with it. I have it for breakfast every once in a while. I said, how about we put some pepper bacon? You can use any kind of bacon you want. But bacon with its presence, with its fat. Pork, by the way, to me is another one of my favorite meats. The bacon, as you add in this particular case, is going to elongate, expand the flavoring that this sauce does have. The important thing is also to realize how do you bring out other elements that continue this build-up on. It's like building a little house. So you can go with any spices that you want, but if you want to make it my way, next thing that I do is a nice bit of fresh parsley on it. Always, I like to add the fresh herbs in here because the herbs are not for decoration, it is not for garnish. Ultimately, once we cook the sauce, we will strain the sauce. So this parsley will go away. But if you put it early into the process, the parsley, as it cooks together with the other ingredients, is going to give us this one. Look at this ends. Amazing. I know. One time, my wife told me that the only way she can shut me up is by making me stand still like this. If you ever see a family photograph of me standing still, I look like a doofus. Not that I don't look like a doofus now, but that is the extreme. Let's move on to the next few things because she tells me also talk too much. Lemon juice. I added lemon juice because when I tried this the first time, I was looking for a bit of tartness that would kind of bring it in. And I have this little tree in my backyard, a lemon tree, which is absolutely pathetic looking, but it puts out the most incredible lemons. I refuse to take the tree out. It's got character. Cook it with the lemon juice. You see what happens when you put wonderful fresh lemon juice? It reduces. It gives it a glossiness and an imprint of what is to come next. And what's to come next at this point, I like to add, is the garlic. Chopped fairly thickly. Doesn't need to be. Do not put chopped fine garlic, because if you put chopped fine garlic at this point, one of the risks that we have is as we continue to cook the sauce, that if it's chopped too fine, it may actually burn and turn the sauce to the other side. Now here it comes. It is true, and we got to confess this without making any excuses, that the true martini is made with gin. That's it. However, James Bond has it with vodka. And you know, there was one of the greatest movies ever that I saw. My name is James, James Bond. No, wait, he says, in Italian, in truth, we say, mio nome è Giacomo Bondi. In English, my name is Bond, James Bond. And he likes it shaken, not stirred. You have no idea how much fun I have. Every time I go to a bar, I recite the line. So, to me, a vodka martini tastes better. Is it the right way to do it? Truly, it's not the original way, but it's the version that I like. So here we go. A little bit of vodka. And a little bit of vermouth. Now, when you do this at home, remember you're cooking with high heat. One of the things that you want to do is make sure that you watch for the flame that could come anytime. You want to reduce this down by half so that the liquid has mostly evaporated. Once the liquid has reduced by half, the next thing that I want you to do is to add the chicken stock. The last ingredient that I put is more for color and to continue the flow of the sauce. Remember, I told you a sauce is like building a house where you have to think of what room, what is going to be the TV room, what is the bedroom, what is the view. To me, this tomato sauce brings this whole thing into completion, and this is exactly what I'm doing right now. You add the tomato sauce. Now, at this point, you bring this sauce to a boil. Once it reaches a boil, I want you to reduce it down to a simmer. You let this simmer for 45 minutes. So you go from this look to a darker, deeper, more reduced volume. And this is what you will have right before we strain the sauce. So the sauce is ready now, but we will strain it later. Let's go back and talk about the steaks. Dry aged steaks are the most expensive ones and the best steaks to be had. The problem is that when you look at them, they don't look all that pretty. As a matter of fact, you see these dark spots. This is what happens in the aging of the steaks. This is a New York cut. You can choose any cut that you want. New York is my favorite. So now we go, ooh, look at this. I have my own martini. I think I should take a moment to reflect on what I'm doing next. What a bouquet. I love this martini. Forgive me. Fantastic. I will finish this later. Now we go with the steak. First thing I like to do, always brush the steak that you want to cook with a little bit of olive oil. Then, here's where a lot of people go, just a little bit will do. If you're gonna put salt on a steak this size, you gotta put salt. Don't hold back. And pepper, because this particular flavoring is the first thing that you will interact once you start tasting the steak. So, we turn the steak on the other side. We do the same exact thing. Here we go. And there, once again, with a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. The pan, I have a grill pan. You can do this on the barbecue at home. I believe that barbecue steaks are the best steaks, but if it's in winter time and it's snowing outside, if it's winter time and it's raining outside, barbecuing might not be an option that you have open. If you're using grill pans at home, learn how to use the grill pans. You always want to put another pan on top of the pan that you're about to use so that the heat is properly contained within the two pans and it gets to the temperature you want right away. So here it is. I'm going to move this aside. And here we go with our steak. Now, we are ready to flip it. There you are. I like to cook the steak until it's medium rare. That's my preference when it comes to a New York steak, but you can have it done whichever way you want. The steak is looking absolutely fantastic, and I cannot wait to dive right into it. So let's see. The sauce is ready. The steak is gonna cook for a little while longer, And how about that? I'm going to show you exactly how to plate it and how to do a little bit of trick with the olives that we use for decoration. This you're going to like. The steak, after you cook it to whatever doneness you like, you have to let it rest. 5 minutes. What happens, all the juices inside the steak will redistribute themselves, and by the time you get to it, after 5 minutes, it will be so much more tender. You will thank me for this. You have to be patient. Trust me when I tell you, in all the fine restaurants, that's exactly what they do. They never take it off the grill, boom, and put it right on your plate. The steak is too tough at that point. So let's move this aside for just a second. I'll let it rest for a moment. I want to show you something that it's actually fun. It is not essential to the recipe, but it is fun for the making of the recipe. A nice, sharp paring knife. These are pimento olives that you find just about anywhere at your local supermarket. Choose whatever brand you like. This is what I like to do. The first cut is a sacrificial cut. Then, as thin as you can possibly go, make this little tiny round, just like this. This is just for decoration. It's not going to add any extra flavor to it, but it's one of those things that's going to make the decoration of the steak absolutely delightful. The one thing that I want to show you is how to handle this part. If you're cooking for a large crowd, if you find yourself in the making of a party where you want to have all these dishes looking exactly perfect, one of the things that I find is it's helpful when you actually cut all these ahead of time. Preparation, preparation, preparation. Think in certain way, what I always say to my friends is think backward. What you're going to be doing. Now you got the food, it's ready to go, and you want to decorate something. If you spend too much time decorating the plate, by the time the plate comes out, the food is going to be cold. So here's what we're going to do. We cut everything, we put it on the plate. We already have a plate here ready to go for the plating of our steak. This is the plate that I chose. I'm going to place it right here. Roasted carrots, takes nothing to do those. You peel the carrots, put it in the oven, you roast them. That's it, salt and pepper. And then spinach, sauté spinach. You know how easy that is. The one thing that we want to do is to place the steak. How do we place the steak? You can place it any which way you want to. One of the things that I like to do is to place it almost on top of the ingredients to give it some height. It makes it fun. Here is the part that I love the most. This is a sauce. We have strained the sauce, and then we reduce the sauce a little bit more and just add a little dollop of softened butter to give it a sheen. So here we go with the sauce. Look at this. Mamma mia. This is the part of dinner that I love the most, just presenting the sauce. Guarda, guarda che bellezza. Te lo devo dire, guarda. Infatti adesso I'm going to taste the sauce. The perfect consistency. And then, just like a little boy playing with little toy soldiers, here we go with the little slices of... I know, I'm ridiculous, but I love this. So, here it is, New York steak with a vodka martini sauce. And there it is. Well, you might not know this about this gentleman, but he is an economist by trade. However, he's also known as one of the most reputable authorities when it comes down to pears and apples. So I will be asking some information as to how do you know when this pear is actually ready to be picked? Because you're telling me that the pear has to be picked green and then...
Ripens in the house.
Okay.
Anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks afterwards.
Well, you also were very specific about the technique, as you were trying to teach me before, and I would like for my viewers to also learn when you were speaking to me. Show me exactly, step by step, how they should do it when they do this at home.
You don't do this for apples, but for pears, what you want to do is you want to find out when the stem is ready to be broken off. And the way you do that is you basically take all the weight off, turning it about 90 degrees, and then giving it a twist. And if it's ready, it comes right off, it'll break. If it's not, it needs a few days.
Well, that's one of the most important things that people really don't realize, and this was a huge mistake that I've always made. I assumed that the pears had to actually completely be ripe on the branch, and then, like tomatoes, put into the cart and brought to market. This is something different, but I noticed that you personally chose pears as the way to go. Is it very difficult to grow pears?
Pears are actually pretty easy to grow. They want to grow vertically very fast.
So the growth and the satisfaction that somebody would get from growing them, it's actually quite rewarding.
actually quicker than apples.
Well, I thank you for this wonderful basket that you gave me. I'm going to take this home because I got a few recipes that I want to put together. It was an absolute delight meeting you, and thank you for the lesson. I will keep it in mind once I plant my own trees. Arrivederci. Grazie.
Thank you.
Aren't these pears absolutely fantastic? I'm telling you, this dessert, pear with Marsala sauce, you are going to love it. Basically what it is, we are braising the pears in Marsala. Marsala is a Sicilian wine, fortified wine, tastes a lot like port, but it's better. Why? It's from Sicily. Pears, we peel the pear, we have cut the bottom of the pear, very simple. Now we need to core the pear. In order to core the pear, you need to have this instrument. It's something medieval looking, but it does do the job. Now, let's go at it. I want to show you how to do it. First, whoa, this pear has a mind of its own, right here. On the inside, as we go, you need to be very careful because if you're not, this little sucker will pop all the way to the other side. You want to bring it as far as you can. How do you know when to stop? Right around here is when you feel that the metal is coming, right where my thumb is at. And I can feel that it's pretty close to it. I want to take a chance and I say, that's it. All right, finally it's coming out the way we want to. And you put it back up. This is what I love about this instrument, just in case. You slide it right out and you get rid of it. This we don't need, we're not gonna eat it. In the pan, we place the pear. Once you place the pear in a pan, it becomes a very difficult recipe from here. One of those recipes that requires at least a master's degree in college. Are you kidding me? It's such a simple thing. Marsala wine, plenty of it. There you are. And then all that you need is just a touch of sugar, just a touch. No, you need a lot of sugar. Why do you need a lot of sugar? It's very important. What the sugar does together with the Marsala, as they're cooking together, it creates a syrupy sauce. The syrupy sauce in which we are braising the pears is really at the core of this wonderful thing. The Marsala has a big rotund body. If you don't like Marsala, you can go with port. But what I propose is Marsala because in my opinion, it brings out a dimension that port does not have. Now, bring this to a boil. Once it reaches a boil, you want to lower down the heat, and then every 5 minutes, you want to go through the process of doing this. You need to braise the pear. And what happens as the Marsala reduces, it becomes thicker and thicker and thicker. As the sugar engages with the Marsala, it gives it the thickness that's absolutely spectacular. And what will happen is that the pear will move from this color to a deeper, richer color. The time that you want to cook it for is if you want a firm tasting pear, meaning something that has a bite to it, that cuts and has a chew to it, so to speak, al dente, if I want to use an Italian word, you are between 25, 30 minutes. If you want a super soft, go between 40 to 50 minutes. But remember, you want to do this with a simmer, and you want to be doing this every 5 minutes. Now, what does it look like? Because I'm talking a great deal. I have a couple of pears that I made earlier on, and I want to show you what the color eventually will be like. And this is it. It's absolutely fantastic. It's one of those things that you look at it immediately, you fall in love with it. What do we do with these pears? We're gonna let this rest. This is not a dessert that you want to serve hot. And the more you let this rest, the more you let it come to room temperature, especially the sauce, it picks up a fantastic viscosity to it. In addition, in order to honor Sicily, one of the things that we like to serve it with is a sweetened ricotta. All that you need to do is take some ricotta, your favorite brand that the store will do. What we've done with this ricotta, we put it over a strainer for just a few minutes. And what happens is the water drips out of it. And what you're left with is the thickest part of the ricotta. Ricotta is, in my opinion, one of these misunderstood greatness. In Sicily, the ricotta tastes so fantastic, especially in springtime, that the best cannolis are made. And there is nothing like a Sicilian cannoli. It accounts for 1/3 of my body weight. Trust me when I tell you. Sugar, plenty of sugar. Now, what I like to do, some people like to whip it very fast. What I like to do is using an instrument like this, a spatula, you want to press it into it and kind of let it work with it. Just let it work. Now, another ingredient which is typically of the southern Italian part of pastry making is pistachio nuts. Pistachio nuts, what we've done with the pistachio nuts, we have chopped them up. And what I'd like to do is to add it. If you're allergic to nuts, if you don't like nuts in any way, you don't have to do it. Actually, what you can do is add to it a little bit of chopped chocolate. And let me tell you, it will take this to a whole nother level. We're going to stick with the pistachio nuts. Pistacchio di Bronte is a brand of pistachios from Sicily, which is out of this world. One of these things that people go crazy over it. So let's see. Oh yeah, we're done. This thing is finished. It's already, the condiment is being executed masterfully, if I can use my own dictionary and language in this process. So we have the sweetened ricotta. The pears are finished cooking. Let me show you how to plate it, because this is a spectacle you don't want to miss. I've taken the pears out of the sauce. I've reduced the sauce a little bit more to get it nice and viscous and thick. Let me show you the thickness of it because it's splendid. This is what you're looking for when you make it at home. Splendid indeed. Now, let's go and put it over the pear because this is a money shot, as I like to call it. Look at this. This to me is fabulous. By the way, in some parts of Sicily, what they do, they thicken this up with chocolate. Dark chocolate, that would be. So the sauce is very rich. Do take it serious. The last bit that I do is adding the little bit of the sweetened ricotta that we've done before with the pistachio, nice and sweet. And here we put it right next to the ricotta, right next to the pear. The pistachio nuts make a wonderful contrast as you bite into the flesh of the pear. And a little bit of mint, just because you really don't need to have it there, but is the wonderful combination of colors, flavor, spices. There are some elements in just about anybody's culture that remind you of your past, especially for us immigrants going to another country. Some of these things bring you back. Marsala is one of them, the mint is another one of them. So here we are with pears braised in a Marsala sauce. It is absolutely fabulous, it's very easy to make, and I'm convinced that quite surely soon this will become your favorite dessert. And there it is. Thank you for joining me once again. It's been an absolute delight to share with you a couple of my favorite recipes. We've done New York steak with a vodka martini sauce, and then pears with a Marsala sauce and a little bit of sweetened ricotta as well. But before I let you go, I have to share with you a secret which I had to extract from my wife, and how to make the perfect martini. Two things you need to know. When I drink cocktails, the only cocktail I drink is a martini, and my martini is only made with vodka. However, I have gone all over the world, New York, Rome, Paris. I've had martini in some of the best bars that they exist, but no one makes it as good as my wife, Nancy. Now, the thing that's really funny is that Nancy cannot stand the taste of a martini, and yet she has the ability of making it the very best. So I say, honey, you got to give me the secret on how to do it because I want to share it with my viewers. And she gave it to me, and she gave me specific orders on how to follow the recipe attentively. First and foremost, you start with ice. Why? I have no idea. One of the things I've learned, I do not argue with my wife. So there it goes, the ice in. Then we put 3 shots of your favorite vodka. Whatever it is that you like, you put it in. So 1, 2, 3. Away goes the vodka. Then 2 scant teaspoons of vermouth. There you go with the vermouth. Inside a glass, we have a pimento olive, and then it comes the best part. This is the shaking of the martini. Shake, 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 shake. My hands are hurting. One of the things that she told me to do is to actually use a towel to do this. You have no idea how cold the stainless steel thing gets. But anyway, here we go for the pouring of the martini, and watch what happens next. This to me is pure gold. It comes down and immediately I know that just a couple of sips and the day is going to turn for the better. I can see my cat Luigi jumping on my lap. I can see Luca jumping as well. I find myself caressing them both. I listen to the music in the background. I look at my wife. I know I'm home. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care how rich you are, but some of the best moments in life are the moments that you spend with the people you love the most. So my name is Stellino. Nick Stellino. I might not be an action star, but this is my favorite drink, a vodka martini. From my heart to your kitchen, arrivederci e grazie. Salute. She still makes it better. Some people like gin. I like vodka. Why? Well, gin is made from vodka. It's a second distillation that takes flavor, some flavoring that's added to it. Vodka in its purest form is 95% pure. It could be made from potato, wheat, grain, even fruit for that matter. As a matter of fact, Different ingredients give to the vodka a completely different flavor. I would suggest that next time you stop at your favorite liquor store, try different vodkas to get a clear sense of the flavor profile that you like. As for you martini drinkers, you can go with gin, but if you're anything like me, vodka is the only way.